Humans have always had a complicated relationship with water. It's part admiration, part hostage situation. We pretend to be its friend and then lure it into tiny little prisons before eating it.
There have been some high-tech upgrades over the years for how we transport our liquid captives.
From clay pots to canteens. Then along came the water bladder, or you can wirelessly import water into your mouth via a non-wireless tube. But like anything designed to make our lives better, it can have drawbacks. Let's explore some of the pros and cons of using a water bladder, and then I'll show you my particular water setup for multi-day hikes. By having a hose permanently shoved next to your face, it's an extremely convenient way to consume water. It's right there when you need it. You can drink water while walking, while standing, sitting, standing, on one leg, hanging upside down from a tree.
I think they get the point.
You don't have to contort your arms to reach your bottle behind you, nor do you have to suffer the humiliation of asking for help to put your bottle back because you missed. I would like to point out that a backpack clip is crucial for this, otherwise your hose is just going to flop around. Your backpack or your bladder should come with one. Considering bladders are usually 2 to 3 litres and bottles are usually 1 litre, you can essentially carry more water, especially if you have something like this that can fold away when not in use. Some of the overnight hikes I find myself on, there is no water source, so I have to take 5 to 6 litres for the whole trip.
Carrying 5 litres of water,
That there is no water, and a bladder just makes this easier instead of multiple bottles. This is more of a personal preference. I don't want the entirety of my side pockets to be filled up with water bottles because I need easy access to other things like my GoPro, my rain cover for my camera, and because women have historically been deprived of pockets, carrying a good chunk of water next to your back in a bladder leaves more room for pocket room. We've all been there when we take a swig from a bottle that is unsatisfyingly warm. A bottle that potentially has been sitting in direct sunlight in the side of your pack while you are walking. But did you know a bladder tucked away in your pack out of the sun can retain some of its coolness? I'll let hiking Hayley confirm this one, in a place where cool water might be appreciated.
coming to you from the Grand Canyon, a place that I'm sure we could all agree would be quite warm. It's in the high 30s today. Pro of war water bladder. This water bladder sits close to my back, which means it's not really affected by the sun. The water maintains a bit of its coolness, comparatively to the water bottles that sit on the outside of your back. It's refreshing. Also, while I'm here, check this out.
The age-old tip when packing your pack is to have your heavier items close to your back around the center. The water bladder sits perfectly in this position, and considering water is going to be one of your heaviest items, it means you're off to a good start with your weight distribution.
And now we switch over to the dark side, what some might say are the negatives of using a water bladder. By the way, if you consider giving this video a thumbs up, it can help signal to the YouTube gods that I exist.
Because your bladder is hidden away in the depths of your pack, you can't actually see the water level during the day, unless you heave it out along with half the contents of your pack. This means you can't see how much you have drunk or if you need to top it up. Whereas with a bottle, you can see your failure to hydrate in real time. Sometimes a visual level is a nice reminder to drink more. It is no doubt that it is harder to clean a bladder than a water bottle. Depending on the type, water bottles you can usually just throw at the dishwasher. But of course, a soft plastic bladder might not always be dishwasher safe. A bladder also takes much longer to dry and can be more susceptible to growing mold if not cleaned and dried properly. Luckily, I've made an entire video on how to clean a water bladder if you find yourself stuck in this situation. Some people have issues with their bladder giving off a bad taste. This might be because it's brand new and it will dissipate over time, but there are some unlucky souls where the taste never quite disappears. My platypus came with this taste-free badge, so I've never had a problem with this. Along this note, sometimes you have to be careful about putting electrolytes in it or anything other than water because the taste of those can also linger. Perhaps the biggest downside is their tendency to leak. Maybe your bladder has a hole in it, maybe the valve has come loose. Either way, it's not fun to lose precious water, especially if you are relying on it. and maybe even get the contents of your pack wet in the process. This has personally never happened to me, so I'll continue to count my lucky stars, but please share below if you are a victim to bladder leakage. The community is here to support you. Unless you are buying a Yeti armed with Yetis, then most of the time a good quality water bladder is going to be more costly than a drink bottle, especially if you are using a disposable plastic bottle. I can also add that bladders tend to weigh more, and some people just find them a bit too fiddly. Ultimately, you can get more use out of a water bottle. For example, if you have something like a Nalgene bottle, you can pour warm water in it, pop it into your sleeping bag, and have your own personal hot water bottle. If you are boiling water as a way of water treatment, then it's easy to pour the water into your bottle without having to wait for it to cool down in your pot. Something like a Grail is a water bottle, a water purifier, and a pot all in one. You can even use a bottle to help you roll out your calves or your feet. If you try doing any of these things with a bladder, then it might just melt or burst.
So which one is ultimately better? I thought I'd show you my typical water setup. Let's say I'm going on a 4-day hike in Australia and I know I have access to water at the end of each day.
I have my 2-litre water bladder by Platypus. The reason I have this one is because it's one of the lightest on the market. I typically fill it just over 1 litre, but if it's going to be a hot day, I fill it up all the way to 2 litres. And I place it into the sleeve of my backpack. I will note here that I always use a pack liner. My water bladder goes on the outside of the pack liner, so if it ever did leak, then I have a line of defense. And I just drink out of this during the day when I'm hiking. Next up, I have a 1-litre water bottle on the side of my pack. This is just your cheap bottle from the supermarket. I drink out of this bottle when I stop for breaks where I take my pack off. I also use this bottle for filtering clean water into. And it's the bottle I use to brush my teeth and cook dinner with. I usually take another smaller Coke-sized bottle, and this bottle is purely reserved for electrolytes. When I was hiking in the Grand Canyon recently, where it was even more important to watch your hydration levels, I swapped this to another 1-litre bottle. Finally, I have my bladder that I collect unfiltered water with. Sometimes the unfiltered water is coming out of a rain tank, sometimes it's out of a spring or a stream. Either way, the wide opening on this C-Nock makes it super easy to collect water. So again, I'll filter the water into that plastic bottle and use the bottle to fill up everything else. So all of that technically allows me to carry about 6 litres if I needed to. If I ever need more, then I would take one of these kind of flimsy, foldable water reservoirs. I carry a Soya Squeeze water filter, and I also carry Aqua Tabs, which are water purification tablets. After all that is being said, I love the combination of using both. I'm always going to have this by my side, and I'm always going to have some bottles with me. My advice is to go hiking and see what setup works for you. As another consideration, you can also get collapsible water bottles. Or you can get hoses that mount onto a bottle, which I think is a pretty happy best of both worlds.
Alrighty, please go forth and enjoy detaining your favourite liquid.